A recording of the public part of the meeting will be available on the Council website within 24 hours of the meeting. Would members and officers please remember to switch their microphones on when speaking and off when they have finished speaking in the Council chamber, and ensure microphone is positioned near you and speak directly into the microphone. Would attendees please switch off mobile phones or put on silent mode? If you need to take the call, please leave the room. Any apologies for absence?
None, Chair.
Thank you. Do members agree with the meeting minutes of the last meeting? Yep, that's fine. Agreed. Any section 106?
None, Chair.
Any disclosures of interest?
None, Chair.
Any urgent business?
Again, none, Chair.
References from committees and other bodies?
None, Chair.
Okay, we're moving on to the reports. Moving on to agenda item 7, IT acceptable use policy update. So could I please, thank you.
Can you hear me okay? Hiya. I'm Don McLeod. I'm the Strategic Manager for Security, Governance and Compliance. I'm hoping that you've had an opportunity to review the acceptable use policy, but I shall walk through and go through some of the salient points. Really, the policy is designed to provide clear guidance and support, ensuring that any officer or member accessing IT systems can easily understand the requirements and procedures involved. And I think the other thing we're seeking is permission to sort of maintain the policy's relevance by allowing minor amendments in response to ongoing technical developments, keeping our practices up to date. So I think, as I mentioned, this is for everybody accessing the IT, whether it's a contractor, third party, or one of the trusts and officers as well. And I think the key kind of layout that we've tried to ensure is that it's clear in terms of do's and don'ts rather than a list of instructions. So I hope that came through within the document. I think it's really key to point out that everybody is responsible for the acceptable use, and this isn't a document that's there to kind of penalise people or punish them if they make a mistake, but it's there to give clear guidelines of how they should be using IT in an acceptable way, and to ensure that they're compliant and managing and protecting personal information in a responsible manner. It addresses managing and protecting information, which is key for GDPR compliance and the Data Protection Act, personal use, which is permitted within those guidelines, email and calendar use, particularly around email etiquette, website and social media, devices and networks, accessing from overseas, and also what's quite new on there is around the use of AI and Microsoft Teams recording. So just in terms, I mean, would you like me to go through some of the do's and don'ts, or how would you like me to continue?
How would members prefer for it to go through the do's and don'ts? Yeah, just briefly.
Just briefly, okay. So under each item, like I say, there was things that were called out. There's a lot more detail within the policy, as well as you'd expect, but there were some key elements that were, called out as, and that they're the things that we really want to ring true with people that are accessing the systems. So if we start with managing and protecting information, it talks about verifying the identity of the people that you are communicating with and being aware of your surroundings as you are carrying out your duties. So, for example, if people are looking over your shoulder while you are displaying sensitive information. And also just little things like locking your workstation when you get up from your desk or your device is unattended, and keeping your password confidential, for example. Instead of sort of concentrating on the do nots, I think that we really try to put a positive thing on it, because, like I say, this document is there to engage people and to ensure that they feel confident in reporting or any challenges that they experience. In terms of personal use of council IT resource, we've asked that people be accountable for their online activity, limit personal use during business time, limit the storage of personal data on the device's hard drive, and understand, and I think that's particularly important, that any data that is stored on the council network can be accessed by IT staff with the relevant permissions. In terms of email, we're calling out that at the moment we use egress for sending personal information. If it contains sensitive or personal information, we do advise that egress is enabled. And also in terms of reporting suspicious emails, again, that's something that we really encourage people to do. And again, if clicking on links where they feel nervous that they perhaps shouldn't have done, again, that's something that we really encourage people to do. And also the use of blind copying for group emails is really important. It's a source of data breach in terms of replying to everybody. There is also already a social media policy in place which does tie into this as well. But again, it calls out around reporting inappropriate or suspicious websites. So sometimes you may be able to access on the council device a website that you maybe shouldn't have, and in which case we would ask the user to report that so it can be blocked accordingly. We do ask that if your device is lost or stolen, that it's reported immediately, and also that individuals take responsibility for ensuring that updates are installed promptly, and that hardware is returned to IT as soon as somebody leaves employment or if it's no longer needed. There's also a part on there around accessing from overseas. There is a process for asking permission to take a device overseas, and there is also a list of permitted countries that we would automatically allow, and other countries where we would perhaps be calling out some of the risks, the security risks, in terms of if they were to take that overseas. And also encouraging people not to connect to public Wi-Fi, whether that's overseas or in the UK. In terms of AI, we are in the process of enabling Copilot chat for all staff to be able to use in a safe way, and not to use any other LLM language model that isn't authorised. In fact, we have taken steps to block those particular sites from the council device, so only to be using that particular one, and also to use it responsibly. And in terms of Teams recording, that isn't automatically enabled. Again, there is a process for requesting that, and that is again to ensure that people's privacy is protected. And it just gives a bit of guidance in terms of making sure that everybody is comfortable with it being recorded, and also ensuring that the retention period is adhered to. And just to summarise, that these particular things were called out within this policy to ensure that council and customer data is protected all the time, ensure legal and regulatory compliance is met, and also to minimise organisational risk. We really want to promote the responsible and secure use of IT resources without restricting people, and are keen to adapt to new technologies and working practices, hence the reason why we would like the ability to update this in an agile way if possible.
Thank you. Do members have any questions? Councillor Nasser.
Thank you, Chair. Usually when we use a computer, if it's after we get out of the desk, usually it blocks automatically. So haven't you got that system to save, when someone is using it and just get out of that desk, and it should be locked automatically?
It is on a timer. I think it's sort of 2 minutes without activity, but I can check that and come back to you. But you can just use the Windows logo and L, and it's very quick to lock it automatically, because there is that delayed period for people to have that inactive moment. But like I say, it is something, get into good practice in terms of locking the device when you do leave it unattended, certainly. It just means that absolutely nobody can then go in and do anything that they shouldn't be.
Yeah, also I was looking for the countries you said, but I don't see here.
Within the policy online, there is a link to those countries, and we are going with the Wassenaar Agreement and also the Foreign Office list of red countries. And the reason that we are particularly strict on it is some countries don't allow for encrypted devices to be brought into the country, and they could ask you to unlock that device and access the network.
Any further questions? Councillor Keens.
Page 17, the list of behaviour and must-nots. The first item is a bit open to interpretation, isn't it? And I'm a bit concerned with it. Who decides what's an inappropriate religious or political statement?
We can sort of review the wording if that's appropriate, but what I would say is that there are a tooling in place that would stop anything that was particularly sensitive or things that you shouldn't be looking at. But I take your point in terms of religious, because it could be something that's valid for that particular individual to be reviewing. And maybe we need to change that terminology slightly.
I can see where you're coming from on the religious side. Who decides what is politically acceptable? I mean, none of us here do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point, and I think it's really about being sensible in a way, and yeah.
Councillor Mahmood Hussain.
Fine on that. I mean, some of the material that you get in terms of the extremism, and that does, and sharing that would be very sort of sensitive to say, I got that as a children's services portfolio. I need to get quite a bit of that. You need to be careful who you share it with.
Thank you. I don't see any further hands up, so the committee is recommended to approve the adoption of the acceptable use policy at Appendix A and approve delegation to keep the policy updated and respond to legislative changes. I don't see anyone against that, so that's been recommended. That's been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to move on to the draft committee work programme. It looks fine to me. I think it looks decent. Anyone else have any comments on that? If not, we're happy to... Yeah, that's fine if the committee accepts it. Right, Local Government Act 1972, Part 5A. We're going to move into the private part of this meeting now. So let me know whenever you've stopped live streaming, Marie.